Welcome to the Node.js community benchmarking meeting, September 25th, 2017. So far, we have in attendance myself, Michael Dawson, and Udam Power and Anil Kumar. And we'll see if anybody else joins up along the way. In terms of stand-up, I've been working to help get the Node.js benchmarks running in the standard jobs and publishing the results out into the charts, which we do have, although there's a few issues in that it seems to be hanging fairly regularly, so we need to figure that out. There's also been a couple of rsync issues where for some reason I log into the data machine and there's like a million rsync processes running, so trying to figure out what's going on there, or at least cleaning it up so that things continue to run. So those are most of the benchmarking things I was working on. Kunal, how about you? Sorry, not Kunal. I meant Udam.
Okay. Yeah, hi. So I've been, after we talked about the Node.js is kind of not finishing properly.
Yeah.
I tried many to modularize it. And I just issue a pull request on my repo with all the modified most recent version. And then I also did 3 runs with Node V8, V6, and V4 version on our benchmarking. It seems to be working fine. All 3 runs pass and they finish in time. So we can give it a try and add that now.
Okay, so basically, how significant a change? Like, is it?
Sorry, continue.
Is it something we should try test separately, or should I just replace what's being run in the regular jobs? I guess we should probably test it somewhere first. Is that?
To you, because I just tried it all 3 and they seems to be working okay. We get all the data what we wanted. There is no hang up issues, and I did figure it out why the hang up was between script and DB starting script. So MongoDB starting script, if you look at it, has it starts a daemon and then it goes in a while loop and sleep for 2 seconds and check for certain messages.
Yeah.
And so my script also had the MongoDB status check, and there was a conflict. And one of the reason I believe that maybe we can talk in general, like maybe we can continue the stand up and maybe we can talk in detail.
Okay.
What my thoughts are to fix it in long term.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so you figured out that for the stand up, you figured out the hang. You have a PR for the changes. So yeah, we'll look at that. Okay. Sounds good. We didn't have any actions from the last meeting. In terms of the issues, we were going to talk about the survey questions for the end users. I think since we don't have very many people, we should defer to the next meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have more attendees. Okay. And then status of running the core benchmarks. Let's see if there's anything new on that one. Okay, well, there seems to be people trying it out.
154, right?
Yep. Okay. So ongoing discussion in the issue. Just, I think, discuss in a later meeting. Okay, but that seems good. Okay, so that's basically all we had on the agenda. So yeah, why don't we spend some more? I guess first of all, did you guys have anything else to add to the agenda?
Anything you have on it?
I was just thinking, I think one of the talk, now I keep thinking like what we'll talk at the uh, Node Interactive, and one of the thinking we were looking, so we have the test being done at the node benchmarking,
Yeah.
and we have some tests being done at our language performance lab site, and there might be some tests being done by Miles for like Canary and the Goldmine and the Canary project. Probably some tests being done just as a node builds or something. Is there a way to synchronize, or do we need there a need to create more the cohesion among them, so we leverage them, so we are not replicating things, they can try to help each other?
I'm pretty
The
sure
whole
that the SIGIM stuff, I know what that is, and that's different. That's basically just running the tests that are built into the modules. So there's no performance testing there. And in the build, there really isn't any performance testing either. So I don't think there's any overlap in any of those kinds of jobs so far.
So the Canadian gold mine, they do the functional testing.
No, I understand
right?
that part. I was just saying that do we want to let all these things independent totally, or is it good to create some kind of synchronization among them? So the important release another thing that, oh, anyone checklist that, oh, how is the node benchmarking number looking, how is the Canadian gold mine looking, and how the test suite number looking? Are we using the information from these sites to determine, hey, do we have any showstopper in the release build or something?
Right. So I guess your suggestion is like definitely the SIGIM is used. The build results are definitely used. The benchmarking results, they're not. We don't end up getting a number that's directly on the release until it goes out. Having said that, we do use it. You know, I do keep an eye on it. And so, for example, when we weren't getting the change for the startup time, I did ping Miles based on that to say, hey, why isn't the master gone up to what we expect? So we could make a suggestion that it be more of a formal release. You know, look at the recent releases. Actually, I'm not sure how quite we would do it in a proactive way, like in terms of waiting to run a benchmarking run on the release. I'm not sure if people would go for that, but.
No, I was more like, so right now it's like Mike Dawson, maybe one more person looking at the node benchmark number.
Yeah.
Why not put it as part of dashboard there, so more community member paying attention to it and looking?
Well, what dashboard?
I mean, right now you are looking at your own conscience. Is there a way that it really get the number, or I don't know how the indicator goes in the release one, that hey, node benchmarking number is this much down.
Yeah.
So more than just us pay attention.
Yeah, there really isn't. We could propose some way where it's like, okay, but we'd have to think about, can we get it so that we can run on the release as part of the release itself?
Yes, that's the I was indicating that, because
do people want to wait
the number
for that?
Post release is too late. You have to go and run back, right?
So say that again.
Post release is too late. I feel like that we should be doing as part of just the way the regression testing. Another thing will stop the release when if it is critically fails or something.
Yeah. So
my proposal is try to make node benchmarking as part of the release criteria.
So that's not a bad idea. I think first of all, the first thing. So the next steps on that. So suggesting we make benchmarking results part of the release criteria. So I think the first thing we need to do is to, look at the build job C, see how we can run on run as part of the release process. Next is, figure out how long take to run. To see if it's practical. Make proposal to the release working group. So I just have taken down a few notes on the suggestions there. I guess it's, all we need is somebody who's going to sort of lead the work to make that happen.
Yeah, I think we have some interest, so we don't mind helping on whatever way we can collaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can sort of put together the information, and then lets the release group understand what it would mean, what they have to do, how long it's going to take, then we can make that suggestion. And if it's easy to do and fit in, then I don't see why they would say no. So definitely a good thing to do.
Okay. The other part is I see your presentation about an API.
Yep.
And so that one is not dependent on the VM diversity or the VM neutrality, right? That itself is separate enabling.
Yeah. Yeah, really, the main benefit should be that you can use it across different versions of Node. And it does help the VM neutrality in terms of, it also allows you to run your modules with other VMs as well. But the real selling point in my mind is that, you can use it across, it isolates you from V8 changes and recompilation across versions of Node.
The API, does that cover the API changes?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, basically, we have defined our own API, and it's a complete API. So, like, NAN isn't complete in the sense that it doesn't cover types and things like that. And so you're making calls with direct V8 calls, and you're using their types. So if any of those changes, you'll be out of luck. NAPI or NAPI wraps all of that so that we have our own types, our own set of APIs, and so we haven't kept it up, but early on we had V4, V6, and I think actually we went all the way back to V10, 010, and showed that we could have a module that behind the scenes we took care of the differences in V8 and kept the API separate. Sorry, the same.
So my interest, I don't understand so much. The Node.js anything to where we do something to test the NAPI.
Yeah, do you have any native module?
No, not really. We don't use any native modules as such. We were thinking of using some of the GC flags with V8 to gather some statistics while running, but we are not using it actually. So
yeah, so
not using native modules.
It'd be anything that use mod. I don't think like Mongo. I don't know if it's a native module or not. So that'd be one.
Mongo, Mongoose we are using, but I think that mostly is backward compatible. So far, we have not seen any issues.
Right, but the question is this.
I can go try it out. Yeah, I can go try it out.
If it is a native add-on, then porting that to an API.
Okay.
Doing a performance comparison run would be interesting.
All right, I can go and try it out with the older version and see if there is anything we find.
Yeah, it's not so much an older version, but it's whether or not like if it actually has C code in it, or if it's pure JavaScript, then it really doesn't apply, right?
Yeah, Mongo is pure JavaScript.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, okay. So the NAPI only applies if you're actually writing modules that use C.
These are native add-ons, right?
Yeah, native add-ons, exactly.
Yeah, we were going to experiment with one of the bcrypt changes. We made a contribution to bcrypt.
Okay.
And as part of that, we created a C add-on, C++ add-on. But apparently there's already a C++ add-on existing. But there's a performance diff put it into that because a lot of changes. So we created different add-on. It's not submitted in the NPM registry yet. But there are some changes. So something like that you are thinking, right? The
Right.
C++
Yeah.
add-on. Yeah. Okay.
I guess it would be.
I can try.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah, the earlier discussions would be really good if there were like some, in-use systems where we could demonstrate it working, in a closer to real life situation. So.
Yeah. Okay. We will experiment with bcrypt. That's for sure. We have not done yet.
Okay. And the other part is that I know the security in the node space is a pretty wide topic. Are there some authentication and other modules in the node which not being exercised with any of the benchmarks, and should we try to do some authentication into node EIS? Of course, that will be separate version, or do we see a need of any node authentication or node security small lightweight benchmark?
Well, Acme does have something.
Acme.
Yeah, Acme does have authentication service.
So is it accessible?
But we don't run that way, right? We don't run in a microservices mode at all.
Yeah. If there's like there was a newer, I think like Acme Freight or something, but we haven't actually set that one up to run yet.
Something to test on, some addition.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, anything covering other common use cases. I don't know if like security is often like a one-time authentication, and that's therefore not going to really factor into your benchmarks, or if it's something that in some use cases every single request has to do that authentication, then then that would be more interesting, right?
Right. Even with the token authentication, let's say if you create a JSON token with bcrypt, that gets validated. It can have some expiration timestamp, which we can check. So it's a whole string. You have to decode that string. Then you have to do the bcrypt compare. So there's quite a bit of CPU intensive stuff going on there. We can try to leverage that functionality.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting.
Okay,
if we can kind of come and say this is a use case where it the benchmarks make sure we're not doing anything that negatively affects the performance of the authentication. Although if would that end up testing the module versus the runtime itself?
Yeah, that's true.
Not that that's necessarily like that. That's still useful if like everybody uses bcrypt in a particular way. It might still be useful, but
I mean, there are two things. Then if we do decide to do something like that, then we can it can help test the NAPI. There's an add-on we know we can test. Also, there's a JavaScript version we can test the performance of checking every request. For example, Node.js in 100 seconds, when I run it around 100,000 requests.
Yeah.
There's a lot of requests going, and if every request we have to check the token, the authenticity of that token, the length, the decode information. So there's quite a bit of processing, and that might be some not negligible performance.
Yeah, no, it's worth. That sounds like it's an interesting use case.
Okay, I think those are all I have.
Okay. I'm going to try and see what am I going to say for notes. We discussed a few ideas around bcrypt / authentication. That could be interesting as benchmarks or to help validate an API. Okay. So general, I guess that was other things. So back to, you wanted to talk a bit more about the DCIS scripts.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing is, this time I really paid attention to all the details of the script.
Okay.
I understood what are the different things we are trying to collect, and I try to document, not document per se. If you look at my PR, I just have one comment. I said 13 or 14 steps we do.
Right.
Do some prep work, then we start the MongoDB process, then we start the Node server process, then we start the client, and then before anything starts, we collect some memory footprint data, and then we collect some CPU statistics during the run. Then we collect after that we collect another memory footprint data, and try to kind of list out all the steps we should doing or we need to
Yeah.
do. So I just wanted to see if we can kind of capture that somewhere. And then if someone does want to add a new workload, these are the approximately steps we need to kind of
Hmm.
capture we run.
Yeah, that's a good
Might
idea.
be newcomer. And that's what I try to do in the new PR I issued. I kind of created each step as a one function, which kind of does that particular thing.
Right. Okay.
So hopefully it should be stable now.
Okay.
If you want to run it on a different machine, definitely we can try it out for a
Yep.
couple of days and then add into Mint. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I guess I was like, if I just pointed at your PR, then it should run just as before, right?
Correct. So right now, if you go the configure step, if you look into the jobs, the
Mhm.
configure does point to the my PR, Uttam Pawar, my PR. So it's not in the mainland yet. So it
Right.
should work fine. And that's what I tried right now.
So what I was thinking I might do is just take one of them, like say master, instead of cloning from
Okay.
the main repo, clone from your PR, the branch for your PR.
Yeah.
If that seems to run okay, then I can switch over the rest. I can land it, and then we could switch over the rest.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So now the couple other improvements I can think of. So
Yep.
we have like multiple scripts. We have a MongoDB starting script. We have a workload, its own script. Then we create a footprint in a different log files, and all these different pieces. They're all moving pieces, and they all create its own log files. So there
Yep.
is no one place where we kind of have all the whole log.
Yep.
I try to with my new PR. I try to create the whole log in the main log file, but still
Yep.
MongoDB output still comes out separately. The CPU cats comes out separately. And I'm thinking, is there a way we can kind of make it into one log, and that's the only log file they need to parse, so you can build other tools based on that log file.
Right.
The reason I'm saying that the MongoDB, when it starts, it creates its own log, mongodb.out,
Yeah.
and that's where look for whether it has version number split is outputted. If it's not, then it just goes in a sleep mode.
Right. Okay.
A different log file altogether, and so we still don't know. Even if the MongoDB looks for the version number, it doesn't really mean the MongoDB is ready to accept new connections. So
Right.
what I was trying to see is MongoDB ready to accept connections. For example, it says connections open, and then it knows that I'm ready to accept connection. Those changes we couldn't make because we have these separate scripts.
Right.
So I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to take an action item, see whether we can consolidate all log into one log, and so all this tool can be based on all the log files from that one output file.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I think any work you want to put into sort of making more of a framework for people to be able to more easily run all of this stuff would be.
Okay.
So yeah, if in your case there was more, if you'd said, okay, I want to do DCIS, if you'd had more of a thing where you could have just plugged it in and you can think about how to make that available, then yeah, that would be great.
We have every benchmark like and the Node.js.
Yeah.
And both has now same CPU parts, and I think we can make it in one directory where we have all the scripts, and just source it.
Yeah, that would be really good to have just the one common set, and we can move them both to just use that same set.
So that's what I'm going to spend time
Okay.
together.
So I'm just going to take a quick note. So going to spend time improving the scripts and structure so that we only need one copy as opposed to one per benchmark, etc. So yeah, no, that's good. The only thing I would suggest is maybe open an issue sort of describing what you're doing along the way. That way you will get some comments from some of the other people saying, oh yeah, how about this or how about that? So, but that sounds good.
That's all I had, actually.
Okay, that's good. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 8th, which is a week after. So next week we're in Node Interactive. We'll hopefully all get together and chat there, and then the week we can get together the week after that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and yeah, so I'll see if I can get that in. I guess it's at least good. You can point to the benchmarking results for Node DCEIS on the site now, right?
Yeah, if I can have that link before the conference, that will be good. Oh, one suggestion I had. Now that Intel has its own performance lab where we not only Node DC, we run less chat application, chat application, the Ghost application, you probably a blogging platform, right? So
yep.
Since it's time to get all the things to Node.js, our repo was constantly running on this machine. We kind of create a link of pointing to these results. Would it be helpful for people who are like looking at the performance?
Right. Yeah, somewhere in the benchmarking repo, we could certainly have links that say, here's like another place to go get some more information, right?
Yeah, okay.
The Ghost one is
the starting point. This could be starting point when we want to link all these different pieces. Could be functional results, performance results, results, and all those things. This could be just a
like that would be, you know, it's almost a discussion on the release. You know, if you're talking about like a dashboard almost kind of thing for the release team to say if a release is good or not. Or are you thinking more just generally in terms of, you know, you want to look at, just in general.
Yeah, and that is how seriously they want to take that result as one.
I think to start with, you know, what would be useful is like somewhere we could have in the benchmarking repo that then has links that, you know, maybe it's got a summary. It's like here's a link to the stuff we're running, and if we then want to have links to things that are running elsewhere as well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Along with a description of what they are and how they work and stuff like that. That would be quite good, I think.
Kind of open an issue and put a link there, and people can comment.
Yeah.
If you think it's useful, we can do something with it.
Sounds like a good idea. It does look like the DCEIS results are relatively stable, which is good. And the other thing that also is good is that it does look like performance has been improving over time.
I looked at it before. I got 750, and then with the V6 I got around 900, and then jump with the V6 around 46%, 40+%.
It's interesting. Master, I thought Master used to be better than 8.x.
8?
Yeah, it's interesting. It now looks like 8 is better than Master.
I saw actually a couple of the 8 was better than Master at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it was just it's at least the results don't scream that there is something way out of whack. It's like it's measuring things, and as things have gotten faster in Node, then DCIS has gotten faster too, which is good.
Yeah.
I had some at the Node Interactive, we will be announcing one more candidate for in our Node DC suite, and that those results are also looking pretty good. A totally different style of use case.
Okay.
And Node Interactive will work to add that benchmark.
Okay, so it's What's the different use case? Is it?
We can talk offline because it's
Okay.
very public.
Okay. Because I guess
So
it's
I'm waiting
something
again
that.
at the Node Interactive anyway, but yeah, we can sit down and I can give you detail on the offline.
Okay, sure. Okay, so just before we go, I'll ask if there's any questions, people who are watching online. If you have, we'll give you 2 minutes to paste something into the original issue. Don't see any questions yet, but we'll just give 1 more minute. Refresh.
Any questions yet, but we'll just give you more minutes.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, we don't have any issues, so that'll be it for today. Thank you guys, and I guess we'll see you in Node Interactive next week in Vancouver.
Okay, sure, Mike.
Yep, bye.
Refresh.